Hello, hello. Let's get that sound check done first. It's been a little while since I used the mobile studio, so I need to know if that sounds really good. I know I have a deep voice, so sometimes different audio systems they're not compatible with me. Okay, excellent. Thank you. That's enough. Thank you, moderators. I see Matt Kubis is there, Jonathan Sherman, Jeffrey Bailey, Omega Lumini, the One Tux. What are y'all doing up so late? I'm getting wired up on these Starbucks right here because I got to. I've been hiking, exploring, crossing rivers, taking my shoes and socks off, and going over uh, the Paluxy River in Texas. Fossil hunting. I found a bunch of fossils. Took pictures of them. Nothing really remarkable, but they're still fossils. But I did come up on some interesting stuff I'm going to tell you about today. All right. Listen, this is the first video from the Paluxy River basin called, it's basically Fossil Rim in central North Texas. We're pretty close to Dallas, Fort Worth, much closer than we are to Houston. And I'm pretty sure this is pretty lowest elevation around here. This is Dinosaur Valley. This is what they call it, Dinosaur Valley, the Paluxy River Basin. It's a national monument and a national park. This is where we're holding the Archaix meetup. It's either going to be in the last week of September or the first week of October. This is where it's going to be. Oh, I still got Grindle Dark's name on here. Hold on. What is going on? What is going on? I had Grindle Dark as a... Did anybody even tell me that? Did anybody even say it? Did one of my moderators catch that? I just changed it to Jason. You're all fired. Not one of y'all caught that Grindle Dark's name was on there and it wasn't mine. Hello, Jahar Lee, Shellcracker. Listen, I got a surprise for you in this video, but this video is still merely preparatory to what I'm going to reveal in the second video. There's actually a world famous guy that lives here, and I meet him tomorrow. And he's actually been cited in 2 of my published books. He is an author himself, but he's also a very unique scientist. Tomorrow, I'm going to be touring the hyperbaric chamber where they replicate vapor canopy conditions. I'm going to the Creation Museum in Glenrose, Texas. I'm going to go meet. I've already talked to the curator of the museum in Glenrose. Had a blast. Showed me a lot of stuff, and I've got a lot of things to share with you guys. But meanwhile, let's get these announcements out the way. So, a lot of things happening, a lot of things going back and forth in my life, a lot of things going on in the Archaix community. Archaix is exploding on many levels. I want to let you know Archaix 4.0 is taking this data to another level. We're going to start with Phoenix Phenomenon and putting things together and bringing more things to the table that even my Archaix veterans have never heard. But we're going to do the original 300 and something data-packed videos over again. But we're going to do them live, and we're going to do them right, and we're going to do them with the benefit of hundreds, maybe even thousands of new data points to add to all this material. So Archaix 4.0 takes off in June. Also, those of you in my Cypher subscriptions, I made you a promise about 2 weeks ago, or was it a week ago, that you guys are going to have access to the actual software. Well, you need to pay attention. Someone either tonight, probably tomorrow, because I'm not going to have time tonight before I get ready for my big meet with this famous scientist tomorrow. But sometime tomorrow, I will take the time to contact someone in the Telegram group. You will all be given a link. And once you respond to that link, you will have access, your own access to the prototype for the Cypher software, and you'll be able to do all kinds of incredible things and quit bothering me about it. I'm about to put it in your hands. So we had already talked about that in the past, but this is what's going on. Thank you for being patient for the past week. My life has been chaos. Now, errant ads. I no longer have that list. Those of you who are still are waiting for your ads to be shown on Archaix. I don't have the list. I don't have access to the list. So you can contact Archaix138 at gmail.com. This is the official Archaix email, and I'm now restructuring Archaix. It's by necessity, and everything Archaix is going to be funneled through that one email. I may have 2 or 3 people working on that email with me, but Archaix I made mistakes in the past, guys, where I let too many people have too much control over too many different things. You guys know I bombed out with Matt. I bombed out with Barry. Barry ended up stealing stuff from me. And you know what? I bombed out recently too with Dawn. And it's just a fact of life. But you guys know I made the announcement that, 8.5, 9 months ago, Dawn and I we broke up, and that was fine. But she continued to work for Archaix, but circumstances prevail, and I'm moving forward, and I harbor no ill will or bad feelings. But the situation has come to the point where Dawn can no longer work for me. So all the information and all the lists and whatever she was doing, I don't have access to that anymore, and that's cool. I'm used to starting over. It's never troubled me in the past. It's not going to trouble me today. So moving Archaix forward, anything you need to catch me up to date on in case I don't know, you can contact Archaix138. Archaix138 is now being monitored by more than one individual, and we'll sort all these details out, and we're going to move forward. And I just need you guys to know a lot of you are still contacting Dawn for Archaix related material, and she doesn't work for me anymore. If you maintain a friendship with Dawn, that's more power to you. But she does not speak for Archaix or anybody employed in Archaix any longer. So this is the Cypher. I've given you the news on Cypher, the errant ads, all that goes through Archaix138 if you have any questions. Most of you in the Cypher group are already in Telegram. Some of you new subscribers in the past week are probably not joined yet, but that's okay. We'll sort through those details. It's not going to be hard to find out who's who. So Archaix 4.0 taking off in June. And man, when I got to Glenrose, you guys know I'm a bibliophile. I had to walk into the antique. The first thing I did in Glenrose, Texas was the antique shops, the bookstores. And I made some discoveries, and I'm going to share them to you because right here, I got a 1976 copy of Star Wars. You guys know I'm going to do a Star Wars decode. I've been promising for a long time, but somebody beat me to it. What? Somebody beat me to it. This is 1976. George Lucas's Star Wars before the movie came out. Right here. Movie came out in 1977. So this came out in 1980. It was written in 1979. George Lucas, this is The Empire Strikes Back. This is before the movie came out. Oh, no, that's the original Star. That's a hardcover 1976 George Lucas Star Wars. This is before the movie script was done. This is Empire Strikes Back, hardback. This is 1979, 1980. Before the movie came back, The Empire Strikes Back. This is a hardback. But this gem right here, this guy did a Star Wars decode in 1977. When the movie came out, he did a full decode on the book, unlocking the mystery of the Force. He's even got an index in the back of all the major players in Star Wars and what or who they represent. This man beat me to the punch. So I'm going to do a video on his work, and I'm going to include it with mine. Star Wars decode. Also, another news item is I have your emails for those who volunteered for the Archaix for kids, the nursery rhymes and the children's books deals. So I'm still acquiring children's stories. These are old. I have to make sure that everything has a copyright that's not within a 70-year copyright. So I'm always acquiring these old children's books. I have stacks of nursery rhymes. I now have thousands of pages of nursery rhymes in children's stories. And yeah, we're going to be doling out assignments and putting this together. We're probably going to do a YouTube. I'd like to do YouTube readings. I would like volunteers. Volunteers have been emailing Archaix 138 doing these things. So this is something I'm really big on. And because with my Cypher subs, it was occupying most of my time. Now that they're going to have hands-on the software themselves, it frees up my time to do a whole lot of other things Archaix related. And I'm pretty happy about that. So let's see. Also, this is a very interesting book I just got. Zolar, How to Discover Your Message from the Stars. When I got this book and I was flipping through it, I was thinking of I got two friends, Victoria Z. I got multiple friends in astrology. Danny loves astrology too. She's been on my channel a couple of times. Big old husband. Also, oh man, I can't believe it. My mind's on this video. It's not on all this stuff. But anyway, this had some really unique stuff in here. It kind of jumped off at me. So I just can't. We'll get to it. But I'm absolutely ecstatic. My mind keeps going toward the second video. I haven't even presented the first video to you yet. And my mind is already so excited about the second video I'm going to share, because we're going to be talking about how dinosaurs fit into the Archaix chronology, the history of the world. How did science get it so wrong? How did the uniformitarian idea and catastrophism completely ignore that there is a third option that satisfies the anomalies of both? It's amazing, guys. If you think two different zodiacs from two different ecliptics is compelling, wait till I lay out my evidence about what kind of life forms grow in this world on the Nemesis ecliptic. Not the Sol. We're on Sol's ecliptic now. But on the Nemesis ecliptic, there are other life forms that thrive, not mammals. We'll get to it, though. We'll get to it. This is a classic. Where did they go? Lost Cities and Vanished Peoples of James Cornell. I couldn't believe when I saw it. It's like, wow, this might be the last one on the page, on the shelves of America. So you never know what you're going to find when you go through these antique shops. Probably do a whole video out of this book. Again, you guys know I love Robert Graves, the Greek myths, the White Goddess. Well, here's a book by Robert Graves about the time of Germanicus. I have mentioned Germanicus in 2 of my videos, and many of you in the comment sections were like, wow, man, that's amazing. Never even heard of this guy. One of the greatest heroes Rome never had, because when they saw his potential, when they saw he was going to be another Alexander of Macedon, when the Roman Caesar and the Roman court and the Senate realized just how dynamic this guy's personality was, and that he was destined to do great things, they killed his ass. His name is Germanicus. This right here is I, Claudius, and it tells the story of Germanicus. This is Robert Graves, undisputed authority on Greek myths. And this was a find. This was a find right here, 1824. I now have an 1824 copy of the writings of Xenophon. Man, it is going down. It is going down. Just want to show that to you. Man, I got a lot of books from the 1800s now, especially the early 1800s. And while I've got another 20 books in my van, these are the ones I just really wanted to share. Other ones aren't so important to me, but I just wanted copies of them. This is the Book of Kells. It's in the original language. It's in the original language. as well as an English translation. So we're going to be going through it because there's a lot of artwork in the Book of Kells. There's a lot of stuff in here. Medieval, monkish, Irish stuff. We're going to go through this. I don't know much about it, but it's going to be some probably Irish redacted Christian from a Christian perspective, but we'll see. If I find value in it, you know, you'll get the video. But those are my those are my news items, my news flashes. That's all. Let's go and get this video. Let's get this video done. How do I normally say it? Let's do it, man. All right. Let's see here. Got some files to share, and I got some files to share. Check my chat before we go on. Yeah, this video is gonna be great. You guys are gonna love these pictures. So, 38 years ago, as a kid, I was here in Gainesville. I mean, not Gainesville, Glenrose. I was here in Glenrose, First Baptist Bedford, and I was the only boy. It was an all-girls choir, and my mama made me do it, and I deeply resented her for forcing me to go to church 5 times a week. But one thing she also made me do was to participate in all the youth activities. It's kind of an outsider in the church, but it's okay. She dressed me like Poindexter, and I was never really free to wear what kind of clothes I wanted to wear. And you guys know I ran away from home at 15 years old. I've never been back since. My dad and I were really cool, but he was always kind of distant when I was a kid anyway. I was adopted when I was 5 years old. So I spent 10 years with the Brashears family, and my dad was a businessman. He was often away. He's on business trips doing all kinds of things. And when he was home, my mom was, you know, kind of a different person. And atmosphere was different when he was at home. But he was away so much, you know, she just kind of ruled my life with an iron fist. And this one thing that we had to do is do the youth group activities. Well, my youth group, the boys, we came to Glenrose Dinosaur Park in 1986, 87, 88, sometime in that window there. And I was 13 and 14 when I came here. And I was on a soccer team, and we used to play between these giant dinosaurs. These big dinosaurs that were made here, a brontosaurus and a tyrannosaurus, and we used to play soccer out here. And when we were done playing soccer, we would run down into the Paluxy River Basin. It was a valley. It was cold water, and we had a blast. And we would find fossils, and we would pummel each other with water balloons, and we would shoot each other with slingshots with those lead egg-shaped weights. Because when it's real cold at night, when you shoot a lead weight from a bag of fishing weights, the little egg-shaped ones, they spin in the air, and the friction causes green sparks because the cold air passes through the lead real fast when you shoot them with a slingshot. And we were marveling that our slingshot leads kind of looked like lasers, and they sounded like them too. So this is what we did in the 80s. You know, we go home with whelps all over us because we're shooting each other with lead weights from fishing tackle boxes and stuff. And I had some really fond memories of this place, and this is the first time back. 26 years in prison, you know, 2 years as a runaway, 15 to 17 years old, and now I'm almost 8.5 years out of prison. Here I am, I'm back, and it's very I don't know. It's an emotional experience, and I spent a lot of time in the Paluxy River today, barefoot, going up and down, getting sunburnt. People looking at me crazy because I'm just going across. Most people didn't go cross the Paluxy River. I didn't give a damn. I boulder hopped. In some places, I was knee deep or thigh deep in water, right? And the current is super strong because they've got these dikes put in there to stop the flow or channel the flow. Really clear water, and I had a blast today. Took a lot of video, a lot of pictures. Now, Here I am, 51, about to be 52, and I went through the same experiences as I did as a 13 and 14-year-old so many years ago in the 80s. And I've been here. I had an affinity for the place, so I think it's the perfect place to do an Archaix meetup in late September, early October. I've been talking to the people that run this. There is a lot of camping grounds, and there's even these bungalows like this little one I got right here. It's a really good place. It's an awesome place. So let's see. Yeah, I think this is going to be there's all kinds of pavilions, and I took pictures of all the different. There's massive campgrounds where 40 to 100, maybe 150 people could all gather and just barbecue together. Plenty of seating and plenty of tree canopies and so many hiking trails. It's just beautiful everywhere around here. All kinds of cliffs. It's awesome. It's awesome. So while I'm here, when I was a kid, there was something strange about Glenrose, and I never picked up on it until I came back. When I came back, it was very obvious to me as I was walking through downtown, which is a square. Downtown's a square. I was walking around downtown looking at all the buildings, and man, did they stand out. You need to see these pictures. There's only one or two other places in the world anybody's done this, but no one's done it. No one's done it on the scale that's been done at Glenrose, Texas. So I'm going to show you these pictures. Let me share my screen. Present, share my screen, share. Awesome. There's some awesome stuff here in Glenrose. So first of all, for a little context, I want you guys to see this. Here's the state of Texas. Right here in the middle, you see that little Capitol building right there. That's Glenrose. Glenrose right there. You see Dallas-Fort Worth. There's Glenrose. Now, further south, a little southeast is Waco. Keep on going down to College Station and the Woodlands. That's my area right there, Lake Conroe. I live on the top north side of Lake Conroe right there. So that's where I'm at right here, Glenrose. Glenrose, Texas. Here's another one. This is an aerial view of Glenrose, the town, and you can see outside of town, the forest gets thick, this darker green color. Then it gets real thick over here. It's Dinosaur Valley State Park right here. It's pretty big. I was all in that river. This is Dinosaur Valley State Park. That's where I went as a kid twice. That's where I spent all day today. So I just wanted to show you where these were on the map. So you know. So the first time I'm in downtown, I'm like going through, and it's at night. My camera is real good. It works really good at night. What do you see here? Besides that real old lamp up there on the wall next to that pipe. I'm going to tell you what you see. You see that somebody used petrified wood as building material. All this right here is fossil trees. This is fossilized wood. It's just as hard as the bricks and the mortar that puts all this together. These aren't logs. This is petrified wood. All this wood has turned to stone. Every bit of that. It wasn't wood when they put it in the masonry. It was already rock. It was already fossilized. So you can imagine my surprise seeing this building. Look at this structure. That is a massive amount of fossilized wood. Why is this interesting? Because fossilized wood isn't cheap. I bought this today. Let me show. I'm going to quit sharing my screen. I bought this today. Stop sharing my screen. Yeah, fossilized wood's not cheap. This right here is real heavy. Right here. This is wood. This stuff is all over Glenrose, Texas. This whole area, Dinosaur Valley Park. This fossilized wood is everywhere. We talked to a guy today that has this stuff. His property is covered in it. When real estate developers come anywhere near and they break the ground up, they got locals who are fossil hunters that go in before construction begins, and they're allowed to remove materials and take stuff. But it's getting rarer and rarer because more commercial purchases are being done, and private ownership of land around Glenrose is diminishing, and they're basically they don't have enough opportunities in groundbreakings to get out there in search for fossils, because it's when they break the ground up for commercial development or building residential houses and stuff, that's when the fossils are found. They're not found directly on the surface. They're found by breaking the one or two layers up. The entire area of Texas here is all fossiliferous. So let's look at this again. I'm far from done. Let's look at this again. Massive amount. These are old buildings too. Look at this fossil. All that is petrified wood that was used in the masonry. This one building is not an anomaly. It's not an anomaly, as I'll show you. That's a different picture than the first picture I showed you. That's a whole different corner. This is downtown. This is a historic district, downtown Glenrose, Bernard, and Pecan. There are several buildings that are all made of this petrified wood. I forgot what the name of this building is, but it looked like they were doing renovations on the inside. That's a lot of petrified wood. It's different species of wood turned to stone, different types of wood. They even put sea coral. These are corals that you see here. It's not just petrified wood. They've got corals from the ocean. Remember, there's no coral in fresh water. This is coral from the ocean that was mixed in here with petrified wood. Fossil coral. It's some old masonry. Look at that. Old masonry. All those big old fossil wood chunks right there. I'm going somewhere with this, guys. We got some. I'm just showing you the architecture first. So one of these buildings says laid by the Grand Lodge of Texas. Of course, this is Freemasons right here. Look at that. There's your Jewish star there, cleverly hidden. AD 1127, 1965. is the same thing as 11/27/5965 Anno Lucius. This is Anno Lucifer. Anno Lucius right here, AL. This is the Freemasonry calendar. Why does it say 5965? Because in the 1800s, they started adding AL dates, and AL dates are merely 4,000 years plus whatever the AD date is. So 5965 is 4,000 years before, above 1965. They no longer, none of the lodges use AL dating because the year 2000 is come and gone and nothing happened. There was no end to the calendar. Nothing happened. So they don't even use AL no more. But the year 6000 would have been the year 2000 AD, RY2K. This is the Glenrose Lodge, number 525. Glenrose Masonic Lodge is this building right here. And it was immediately noticeable to me that something was wrong. And what was wrong in my eye was, how could the prestigious Freemasons of this Masonic Lodge accept being in an inferior Masonic structure attached to a superior structure? And the superior structure is amazing. I'll show it to you in a minute. Now I'll explain to you why. I found it in a book in Glenrose. It explained to me what was going on. So it's attached to the Campbell building, built by T.B. Campbell, a doctor, and his wife Julia in 1894 through 1895. Native limestone walls are 18 inches thick. Pillars and window sills are all hand hewn. Yeah, it's a pretty big building. See, it once housed a general store and other businesses, a telephone exchange, a post office. Upper floor was used for meetings. Yeah, the meetings would have been the, you know what? This isn't the same building as the one the Masons are attached to. That's not. This was a Campbell building, was separate. Let me show you the one that was attached to the Mason. Here's the one attached to the Mason building. Right here. Mason building is a small one right here on the left. There's the Freemasonic Lodge I just showed you. It's right here on the left. What got me was, what are they doing attached? This little bitty Mason Lodge attached to this grand, epic architecture right here of massive white limestone blocks. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me, but it wasn't until today, looking in a book in Glenrose, on Glenrose architecture, that the answer was given to me. I'm going to show it to you. So this is just old architecture. Yeah, Glenrose has some unique stone, but for those of you who don't know, limestone is fossiliferous. It's got fossils in it. It's got all kinds of seashells and marine life and corals and plants. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. There's the White Buffalo Gallery Boutique. Again, this is some old Glenrose architecture. Look at that. 1896. This is the building. There's the keystone. You see that keystone geometry right there? That's the keystone. Freemasonic arches. 1890 right here. This is the building attached to the Mason Lodge. There's a plaque. I'm going to read a plaque here in a minute. There's another plaque here somewhere. It's like a castle. Texas 144, Road 56. It's an old Coca-Cola sign. That's an old Coke on an old wall. Look at all that limestone, natural limestone, hewn on it's hewn on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's hewn on 5 sides, but they leave one surface rough. Oh, this is an old map found in Glenrose. Ain't no way in hell Greenland's that big. There's no way in hell Greenland is almost the same size as the continental United States. Yeah. Out of their minds. You guys know the maps are all wrong. So here's the same structure during the daytime. Look how beautiful it looks like in the daytime. I'm going to find that plaque on the Mason here and tell you about it. Yeah, same structure. All that fossilized wood. There's Bernard and Pecan. I photographed at night. Beautiful building, really. There's the Grand Mason Lodge right there next to this building that I'm going to tell you about. Didn't make sense to me why the Mason Lodge would be an inferior building next to a superior, more ancient building. Didn't even make sense to me until I read this plaque, or I read this notice. I'm going to read to you. This is a pretty historically accurate bronze here in the middle of the town. She's sitting side saddle. This is pretty neat. In the middle of the square in Glenrose, we have a lot of petrified wood and flagstone that was all mixed together in all the structures. Pretty cool how they did it. You guys know I used to 3.5 years. I ran Paradise Rock Gardens. So stone, I'm very impressed with stonework. I know how heavy this is. I know how hard it is to put together. It's maddening if you're not using the right mortar. They did a good job. This stuff's been here for a long time. 1893 clock building right here. This is in the center of town. All limestone. All this is native rock. Every bit of this is native. Limestone is fossiliferous. This whole entire region is fossiliferous. Texas National Monument. This is some incredible work. Look at this. Look at this strange building out in the country in Glenrose that's made of fossil wood. All this is fossil wood. All this is petrified wood. So strange. I don't even know why I got a camera on this thing. What you got a camera on there for? This is old pictures. This is 1925, Glenrose, Texas. This is the hotel in Glenrose. It's pretty old. It don't look nothing like that. I saw it yesterday. It doesn't look like that anymore. It's pretty run down. There's that building. Look at that building. Man, I'd like to have that car right there. Look at them gangsters. If they didn't know that in 2025, somebody would be showing them off to thousands of people. These guys here in the 20s are sitting here leaning against this building right here, where thousands of more people after them will be leaning. The building in the 1920s looks just as old as it does today, if not older. It looks older in the 20s than it does today. Look how thick those walls are. See how the windows inset? This is a fortress. Look how thick that masonry is. In the keystone. Hello, Monica Farrow. Thank you. Requesting a van vlog on your drive home. You got that, Monica. I will do that. Look at the size of the keystone block on this window. It's massive. Who lifted that? That's as heavy as a vehicle. That's as heavy as a truck. Yeah, man. Very impressive masonry. All kinds of stores. They got flagstone, petrified wood and flagstones, and it's all fossiliferous. This is petrified. The whole bottom part of this house is all petrified, and the wall that goes around the whole garden, the whole wall that goes around the house, and the first floor of the house is all petrified wood. This entire house is made of petrified wood. This is all fossil wood. All fossil wood. Even the pillar here in the middle, fossil wood. Another house, petrified wood, all in the masonry. The chimney made of petrified wood. What the hell happened in the area of Glenrose, Texas to fossilize all this forest? Here's a whole wall made of petrified wood and some larger flagstone. There's petrified wood and flagstone and limestone all mixed together. All mixed together, polygonal. They did a fantastic job. These people used local building materials, which there were so many fossil trees in the area, they just built their buildings and their houses with them. Look at that. It's amazing. Just amazing. Fossil, bunch of flagstones and fossil wood. A whole giant fossil tree trunks are in this wall, and flagstones and limestone. Look at this building. It's got a little bit of everything in it, but they distributed the petrified wood very artistically. Did a good job. Man, it's got to be an ugly house, but they got some nice petrified wood walls. Petrified wood masonry. This is in the center of town. They're really proud of this. They're calling it a dinosaur footprint. I beg to differ. So does Dr. Carl Ball, who runs the Creation Museum in the Paluxy River Basin at the Glenrose National, right outside of Glenrose Dinosaur Valley Park, National Park. I'll be meeting him tomorrow. But that belongs to a vapor canopy creature. We'll be getting into that in the next video. Here's some more weird architecture. Not really sure, just an arch. All right, let's see here. So we go to the next file where I'm going to talk about this Mason Lodge I just talked about here. This Mason Lodge is attached to a superior, much older structure. It really struck me as odd. So we're going to find out why. So interestingly, the year was 1902. In 1902, a freak, they're calling it a windstorm, but in more recent periodicals and sources, they call it a tornado. But a tornado is merely a frame of reference. The people at the time called it a windstorm, and the demographics of the windstorm completely rule out tornado. We already know about the year 1902. But Glenrose was almost wiped off the map in a freak windstorm, and the damage from the windstorm was 5 miles in width. So 5 miles wide, we have this massive amount of damage. And it wouldn't have been a tornado that did that. But we know that there was Phoenix fallout in 1902, all in May, in April. It was in April, May, and some in June. And Charles Fort has heavily documented this phenomenon. And a red star appeared in the sky, a new star, red dust, red rain, red mud fell all over the world in different areas according to the regional humidity. Rocks fell from the sky, white and red rocks rained on different areas of the world. Strange fireballs fell from the sky and ignited and caught cities on fire. Every bit of this is documented in 1902. There were also earthquakes, massive volcanic activity in the Caribbean and French Martinique. 60,000 people died from volcanoes, 3 different volcanoes, Guatemala and 2 in the Caribbean. Yeah, a lot happened in 1902. It was a Phoenix year. So the Vulcan was very active that year. But a freak windstorm 5 miles wide just tore up central North Texas and went right over Glenrose. It's pretty devastating. This picture was taken April 28th, 1902. So this is the modern museum. It says a massive tornado hit Glenrose in April 1902. It was the very end of April, the 28th, devastating the town and killing many. But I don't believe it was a tornado. Other accounts all say that the windstorm was a freak windstorm that was 5 miles wide. The path of destruction was 5 miles wide. Tornadoes don't do that. So the building that I was telling you guys about, First National Bank, hand-hewn native stone structure built in 1896 by A.P. Humphreys as a saloon. Lodge Hall was upstairs. So remember I said it was kind of unusual that a small building would be the Freemason Lodge and this beautiful epic building was next to it? Well, apparently originally the Freemason Lodge was upstairs in the bigger building. And it hosted dances, social stage shows. So the First National Bank moved in 1902. With such customers as Colonel Charles Goodnight, trailblazing cattleman. This was also the scene of a 1917 bank robbery, and one bandit was shot. In a book in Glenrose, I was flipping through a book in Glenrose, and I couldn't believe where I found that the First National Bank in Glenrose was originally founded by the Knights of Pythias. When I looked up the Knights of Pythias, it was like it was a fraternal benefit society, just like the Freemasons. So later it was just changed to First National Bank, but originally it was the Knights of Pythias First National Bank. And in 1902, it just became the National Bank. But this plaque completely omits the Knights of Pythias, but the old book in Glenrose didn't. It mentioned them. So now I understand. Oh, okay. So this was a Freemasonic building. The whole building was Masonic, but it belonged to the lodge initially. Pretty interesting. So moving around and drove up on this Stone Hut Fossil Shop. Met a real character here. Met a real character here. So this whole area, Glenrose, is fossiliferous. There's fossils everywhere underground. There's just nowhere there's not going to be in this area. Fossil wood, crinoids, all kinds of amazing stuff. Teeth are found everywhere. All kinds of fossil shark's teeth. You know, teeth are the last things that are found in a lot of archaeological digs because the enamel protects them. They don't decay like the rest of the bones. Just like skull fragments. Some of the skull fragments last forever. Look at the size of these ammonites. Look at those ammonites. Those aren't even the big ones. There's some record big ones found right here in Glenrose and surrounding environs. Here's smaller ammonites and similar seashells. Yeah, you guys know I couldn't. You guys know I just couldn't. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick so I can show you this. You know I'm not gonna come all the way out here and not get some of these goodies. I need to check my chat anyway. But I went ahead and got me a couple of these. Look at that. Look at that ammonite. It's a small one compared to the other ones that are around here. It's the biggest one I got. It's the biggest one I got. That ammonite right there. This one's far more detailed. This one's far more detailed right here. They're everywhere here in Glenrose, these ammonites. As a matter of fact, even the people at the state park and the Creation Museum, they come out and they buy fossils, really good specimens from the fossil hunters in the area. And let me tell you something, they're not giving them away. That's for sure. You got to buy these fossils. Yeah, they find them all over the area. So I got these. And this one I thought was really cool because I found a bunch of these as a kid. But I didn't ever found one this size in the city parks. So for those of you who don't know my story, you don't know, Archaix veterans have heard it. What? But I was absolutely fascinated with fossils when I was a kid, and I spent a lot of time trying to get away from my mom. I felt peace. She knew that 2 blocks up in Bedford, Texas, 2 blocks up was the city park. And I would tell her, I said, when I'm done with my chores and stuff, I want to go to the city park and go hunt for fossils. And she was all for that because I was constructed. But it was also my passion. And the city park had these railroad ties areas that were these borders of railroad ties in the city park with these white rocks that were imported from the coast. And these white rocks were packed with fossils. So by the time I was in 8th grade, I had 3 tackle boxes full of all kinds of fossils, and I had them tagged, and I had pictures I'd cut out of books, and I actually won 3rd place in a science fair because I had collected these fossils as a child. And it was just a passion of mine when I was a kid. But it was like the only time I could really have peace when I was growing up, and I was out there by myself, just listening to my old Sony Walkman, and I'm doing my thing, going with a bucket, going through all the white rocks in the park to find all the fossils. I was very thorough. So that's what I've done. It was just something I did. Is pretty cool. Let me share my screen, get back to it. All right, let's go with, oh, there it is, share my screen. Many times I've done this, I still need to be coached. All right, share. Back to sharing. Yeah, that was so cool. Giant ammonites, man. Here's some fossil coral. What's all this fossil coral doing with petrified trees? Trees don't grow on the ocean bottom, do they? So what happened? It's another ammonite. That's one of them I bought, I believe. Just different different ammonites. Man, that's a monster ammonite. Fossil wood. Yeah, this guy here found a really detailed, colorful ammonite here. This is the guy right here I bought these fossils from. He runs this shop. Got some ribbing on there. Man, look at that. Yeah, Glenrose, Texas, guys. I don't even know what that is. Look at that detail on my camera. Wow. More fossil coral. A giant ammonite. Look at these big old ammonites. Hey, look at the size of these. I had to put my wallet next to it just so you can see how big these were. What? Do you see the size of that ammonite? They got photos in town of a monster ammonite even bigger than this one. Look at that. Look at the size of that. You see that Fibonacci? You see that Fibonacci spiral? There's that golden proportion. Look at that. All this fossil wood. More fossil wood. There's just fossil wood everywhere. This is really, really unusual. That was one, whatever it was once organic. Bunch of specimens of different types of trees, different types of wood. Listen, trees don't fall apart like this, guys. Trees do not fall apart like this and then later get fossilized. No, the whole entire tree turned to stone in an instant and then fractured. And then the fractured pieces all get mixed together by the agency of water. Remember, I got a very, very compelling video when the whole world froze. I got another one called the Medusa effect, or the Nemesis reset cycle Medusa effect, something like that. My moderators know better than I do what I got. So I go into the little creation museum. That's upside down. It's supposed to say Ammonites. Here's more. This is in the Glenrose. No, this is not the Creation Museum. This is in Glenrose, the Old Town Museum. Because the whole area is just full of fossils. Look at that stuff. Look at that. That was all some type of plant. Didn't even decompose. That's probably how it looked like underwater when it flash froze. Bunch of fossils in here. Glenrose, Texas. More fossil wood. They can even identify the species. Got iron meteorite found right here in Glenrose. I'm not buying it. You can tell me all you want. That's probably tektites right there, not meteorites. It's probably tektites, and it probably came off a shattered firmament. When the whole world froze, look at this amazing fossil. Man, poor little guy. He never felt it. He never seen what's coming. Another giant ammonite. You can see the size. There's my wallet. You can see the size of it. Big old footprints here. It's nothing but a vapor canopy creature. They got all kinds of interesting theories. But that nemesis ecliptic changes the game, completely alters what we know about uniformitarian geology. This was interesting. This right here is man-made. And it's so smooth and warm that a bunch of cordage and rope or something had been going through this for a long period of time. This is a weight. These exact same anchor stones or weights were used for different mechanical reasons. They could put a different amount of flat stones that were all like this to change the weight on levees, on levers, on ancient cranes, shipbuilding, and to equally distribute the weight on seagoing ships. These anchor stones have been found all over Armenia and Turkey, the areas of the world most rich in the legends and traditions of Noah and Noah's Ark. Here's an anchor stone right here from the ancient world. This right here is evidence that man was thriving whenever this cataclysm happened that destroyed this whole area of central Texas. Man was around, because that right there is man-made. Here's a whale vertebrae. What is it doing hundreds of miles from the coast? Hundreds of miles from the coast. What is a whale vertebrae doing right here? One of the Glenrose tracks. Piece of limestone with an ammonite impression. Oh man, these are awesome. These are the ones I used to find in the Bedford City Park. These are identical to the ones I used to find. Little bitty ones like this in the Bedford City Park. I filled up 3 small tackle boxes. I was so proud when I won 3rd place. Science fair. Found a bunch of them, just small ones. Nothing real. It was just impressive to my teachers. It wasn't really impressive to, fossil hunters wouldn't have been impressed because it all looked like this. More fossil wood. Look at that. Look at that spine. Yeah, man. That's solid rock. I'm taking that little piece home. Little piece of petrified wood. That little bitty fossil. That's also interesting. That is also interesting. Quit sharing. So I'm in Glenrose, Texas, and this is a very Christian-oriented community, and we have some fossil hunters and fossil people, guys that sell fossils that are from the uniformitarian school. Talk to them today. They're convinced the world's millions of years old. They're convinced, all this, that's good. But they're surrounded by Bible-Belt Christians that really love Dr. Carl Ball and the Creation Museum and the hyperbaric chamber that's here, and they really love the idea of the things that he's found. Now, Dr. Carl Ball's research has been quoted in 2 of my published books. I didn't think I would ever meet the man, but I'm going to meet him tomorrow. If his books are also there for sale in the Creation Museum, I'm going to repurchase them and have him sign them. I'm going to give him an invite. He's very old now. He doesn't travel, but I will give him an invite. The reason this is critical to the Archaix research is because this man knows everything about vapor canopy ecology. He understands that we used to live under a vapor canopy. He understands that under a vapor canopy, reptiles and amphibians grow to massive sizes. But what he doesn't know is that the reason the fossil record is so anomalous, the reason why we have geological ages that were invented by the uniformitarians that don't conform to the evidence, and the reason why we have creationists who can show all these fossils and show the differences between the amphibian, reptile, avian, marsupial life forms, and then show that they were all coexisting at the same time, when there is uniformitarian evidence that although they all existed at the same time, they weren't at the ascendant at the same time. This is critical that you understand that when our world is on Sol's ecliptic, mammals are at their apex. Mammals thrive in this environment, in this temperate, non-vapor canopy world. But when Earth is on the Nemesis ecliptic and the Sol ecliptic now is at 60 degrees perpendicular, and the world is moving on a north to south movement, we're on Nemesis ecliptic. Mammals are inferior, and the marsupials, which are nocturnal-based creatures, the amphibians and reptiles, which are also vapor canopy creatures, thrive. Our history doesn't make sense, just like our historians can't make sense of ancient chronological systems because they're using modern frames of reference. This is why so many people, in fact, almost the entire world, got 2012 wrong, claiming it was the end of the Mayan long count. We were trying to use our knowledge of the year, 365.25 days a year, and we were trying to impose it upon a culture that knew no year but 360 days when they had developed the calendar. Now, after the calendar was developed, a cataclysm occurred, adding 5.25 days to every single year. That cataclysm was caused was because Earth jumped ecliptics. So the fact that our world is on the Sol ecliptic now, and we have evidence that we have proof that we've been on the Nemesis ecliptic before under vapor canopy conditions, and our scientists are calling them dinosaurs when they're just vapor canopy amphibians and reptiles. But we also have evidence that mammals under the megafauna thrived even in a time before that. So it means our world has been on Sol's ecliptic before, and we seem to be jumping back and forth between ecliptics. And the motive force that causes the move is Nemesis X. Zechariah Sitchin called it Nibiru. He claims that Nibiru was the fairy. What does a fairy do? What does a fairy do? A fairy guides something over something and keeps going. Nemesis X is the reason why. And this explains why I've shown you guys that even though they have independent systems, the Phoenix, the Phoenix chronology of 138 years and the Nemesis X chronology of 792 years is very, very much attached. Very much attached. Just like 972 plus 138 is 930. 930 was how many years Adam lived before he died. And according to the pseudepigraphical text, like the book of Jasher, when Adam died at 930, the sun darkened. But that's just a memory of 3895 BC, when the sun truly darkened, and we entered a vapor canopy period, which was the 930th year of the Anuna civilization, which began 930 years earlier. So We've gone through this in Archaix. The Archaix chronology, we've gone through all this in many previous videos. But in understanding the Medusa effect, the mass petrification of life forms, the whole surface world fracturing like glass after it's frozen solid, we have all the evidence. It's everywhere. But it's also why I'm a simulationist. Because even though we have the proof that the whole world is flash frozen multiple times, and yet life forms continue. And the flash freezing happens on the bottom of the ocean bed all the way up to the highest mountain peaks. And yet still, life forms are still here after the cataclysm is over. Just like Charles Fort has shown, many life forms are just introduced into the construct. Many of them have been seen and documented falling straight out of the sky. So that's my presentation today, and this is merely preparatory. This is just preparatory for the next video, the day after tomorrow, because tomorrow I'll be recording. I'll be with Dr. Carl Ball. I'll be at the Creation Museum in Glenrose, Texas, and I'll probably be back on the Paluxy River Basin doing some more fossil hunting and talking to the administrators here. So this is pretty compelling material that we're going into. I can't wait to show you the hyperbaric chamber and the work of Dr. Carl Ball, because it's amazing. But where we're going with this is that we're not talking about a world that was destroyed with just giant amphibians and reptiles and mammals and beautiful forests that all fractured like glass. We're talking about a world that did all that, and men were here. Men lived here, and they too flash froze and fractured like glass. We're going to see the evidence in the very next video. Love you guys. That's it. That's my presentation. Amazingly kept that under an hour and a half. And I got a lot more video footage and pictures to show you. Like I said, this is just a preparatory video for a mamma jamma on the next video. And Monica Farrow, you got that van vlog coming. You guys, if you want to know my announcement, I had some very important announcements at the very beginning of this video. Please go back to the beginning of the video and re-listen to those announcements so we're all on the same page. All right, let's do it. Let's get up out of here. Let's do it. And for those who are just coming to Archaix, Archaix.com will take you everywhere in the Archaix universe you need to go, especially baby phoenixes, Archaix for beginners. It's all there, Archaix.com. Let me find me a good video. Outro. Love you guys.